Boards games. I might be talking about board games tangentially, but I'm not gonna shout. On Monday, I spoke about. Wait, does is it how did that happen? Was it Monday? What did I talk about on Monday? I can't remember. Oh yeah, on Monday I talked about who I am, and I guess that episode was forgotten. And then Tuesday and Wednesday I've been sharing the games that I've enjoyed playing or watching other people enjoy, because I made some of those, and some of those brought me money, which is kind of important, as people know. But today I'll talk about lessons and achievements and other stuff, and hopefully it'll be interesting enough that you'll want to watch me talking about board games and other stuff in 2021. All sorts of stuff in 2021. I talk about how it got done. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. Busy Beats and Board Game Bladder is what it's all about. And hello, Jess, who says, it's Bez again. This is getting predictable. 5 p.m. every day. Yes, 5 p.m. if you live in Thailand. Although when the clocks shift, that might change. You know, when the UK clocks change. I don't know if clocks change in Thailand, but it's going to be 10 a.m. UK time every day. Predictably entertaining. Thank you very much. That's such a lovely thing to say. Let's go to the bike lane. I mean, you can take me on your phone. I mean, that's pretty cool, but stay safe, Jess, and lots of love. Anyway, as I said in the intro, today I am talking about 2021. On Tuesday, I talked about my favourite games made by other people. I talked about Root and Go and Magic Maze and my favourite games that were made by other people that brought me joy. Yesterday, I talked about my favourite games made by me that brought me joy. And most of them were because I enjoyed watching people play them. But some of them were because, one of them, Yogi, is purely because of the money. But today, I want to talk about all sorts of other things. Basically, talking about my personal achievements. Some of them are to do with games, but some of them are not. Talking about lovely moments, talking about the challenging times, and also talking about general lessons. And I realised, one lesson that I probably should put in there as a bonus lesson. There's 5 lists. Each of these lists has 5 or 6 things in it. But yeah. And hello, Matt. It is lovely to see you. I am going to have a bit of further ado. I'm not going to say without further ado, because as regular viewers or listeners might know, I do start off, as usual, with a question. And that question is, what have you been up to? What have you been up to? What have you been up to recently? Recent highlights, sharing life and other delights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. So what have you been up to? I have played some games on Board Game Arena only. I've not played anything in physical life. I did sort of invent a new game, which was, I've got an idea for a sort of gin rummy style game where you make sets to then make sets. So you're collecting your cards and then you're putting out your sets, but when you make a set, you only get to keep 1, maybe 2 of those cards. And then, anyway, it's something that I've not playtested, but it was an interesting idea. I'm going to playtest it tomorrow. I did head out yesterday. I've been going for a walk. Today, my very recent highlights was about 8:30 when I had a wander, and the sky is kind of clear. I mean, yeah, sure, there's clouds in the sky, but there's bits of blue. There's actual blue. And I could see the sun with goldy bits, and it was just fantastic. And yes, that was just delightful. Um, Recent highlights. Jess ate hummus for breakfast. That sounds fantastic. Oh, Matt, that's amazing. Matt got promoted at work and it started a new job on Tuesday. Congratulations. So are you saying that you started your new role within the same company? So you're still doing technical stuff, but that's congratulations indeed. And yes, well done. Jess learnt new teaching online skills, so skills to help Jess become a better teacher. Congratulations. It feels like everyone's continuing to grow personally, and this is just lovely, fantastic stuff and awesome. Um, so that's the recent highlights. That's just so delightful. I am also going to talk about a brilliant thing. Brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? Okay, this is a very little thing. I've drunk a lot of juice recently. What I do is I wait until the juice is like there, and I enjoy the concentrated juice. And I open one maybe every couple of days, and then I fill it with water, and then so it's kind of not as sugary. It's still got a nice taste to it and I still enjoy it, but this is kind of like 70% water. But it's water that I added. When I bought it, it was basically just fruit juice. But it goes well when diluted, and I think that's something that I'm learning to appreciate because it means that I get to drink more without always having to drink the sugary fruit juice. So, but I get sort of flavored water, and so that's a brilliant thing. Like if you've got a wee bit of fruit juice left, maybe for the last wee bit, shake it with some water. Maybe that will be a nice taste. I don't know. That's a suggestion. Try it. And that is pretty much it. As always, feel free to comment. That's why I do a live stream. I don't show everything on the screen. I don't reply to literally everything, but if there's any pertinent comments or any questions, then obviously that just makes me feel like it's a two-way interaction, which is lovely. Today, I am talking about my own personal highlights of 2021, and at this moment, like especially at the end, but also right now and in between the lists, I might ask you what were your personal highlights and what were your own lessons. But as I get to each of my lists, I'll ask you if you've got any contributions of your own, and it might be interesting to sort of compare. And of course, if you've got any questions, then if you're watching live, please just ask away. If you're watching or listening after the fact, then ask in the comments, and I will do my best to respond. So, toilets are brilliant, says Jess. Sometimes Bez forgets to put my best comments on the screen, but I forgive her because I love her. And she usually puts my funny comments on the screen, says Jess. Now, let's start off with my... What is the first list? Sorry, I need to double check. The first list is achievements. So I want to start off with my main achievements of 2021. And in a sense, 2020, so let's talk about achievements. What were your achievements? 2021 was a difficult year. 2021 was problematic in so many ways globally. But for sure, just having survived, carried on mental health, like not having thrown ourselves into a pit of despondency is itself an achievement. So don't be too harsh on ourselves, and please don't feel like you need to compare yourself to my list or anything. But yes, my achievements. Firstly, going to UK Games Expo. I feel like I sorted it out well. I managed to. This was the first convention after a long time. I think it was over a year, like March 2020, Aircon, and then nothing until UK Games Expo, August. I managed to organize a lot for it. I managed to organize a 2 p.m. event each day. I managed to get a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises. all made and drawn and printed in time for UK Games Expo. I managed to get some new versions of couple and categorical shown so that people could see them. And yeah, I took the stuff. I had Jason, like just the organization and the being there, that and being back at something like that was a major achievement. My Kickstarter for a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises, having so many people contribute, join in, that was partially because of all the marketing. And so there's definitely a lot of chance that goes into something like this. There's a lot of luck thanks to the moderators of Big to Cuck Facebook group saying, yeah, share it. But also I do think that it was partially something that I'd done myself. I want to mention that I did do a lot of streaming, and I'll just get this thing up on the screen while I catch up with the comments. And hello, Mike. It is lovely to see you. And I totally know the feeling of that. Going to get into that in a wee bit. Moving house is a major thing, and thanks for joining us. And Matt, that is totally okay to listen in the background. But yes, lots of streaming. So 608 hours in 354 days. On this screen, you can see the number of hours that I streamed each day. And so that was when I did my, I think that would have been my 300th. And it was an 8-hour stream. And that was my 200. I think that was just, Saturday the 9th of January. That was my game jam. That's what happened there. I was just doing a game jam, and that was a nice event. And then I did a special celebration for Thursday the 25th, which was a 12-hour stream. And then afterwards, in June, I decided to do a 25-hour stream, or 24-hour, which is why you've got 2 days in a row where there's a lot. And then, yeah, 11th and 12th, it spikes up. There's a lot of messages, which is pretty concurrent. Why is there so many around here? You can see that I've had a lot more viewers, a few more viewers before I did, before my 400th and then me taking a break. I think that from 401 to 500, I try to keep it fairly easy to do for myself. And that's an approach that I want to take going forwards. I love it when people jump in and comment and stuff, but I don't feel like I want to make it all about chasing the number of viewers. I want to prioritize doing things in an easier way for me. My second achievement is drawing turnips. I mean, yeah, a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and watching out for turnips. That doing all of the art for that in the space of 2 days, like it also took me like 2 days before that to kind of gear up and prepare myself mentally. So it's not like just 2 days work. And this was like 2 days with very little sleep. But I'm proud of these turnips. I feel like they look good. But then my number one achievement, very similar to Mike, is moving house. It is such an ordeal. And as you will hear later, like basically a van got stolen. Then I hired some people to help us who didn't help us as much as I would have liked, and they still have one of my boxes, and I'm texting them occasionally and they just don't respond. And yeah, the box that they've got is not a big deal. It's bath stuff, but yeah, it's really, anyway. And hello, PNP community, you're just in time to hear the end of my first list. Today I've got 5 lists, and this is my number one achievement, moving house. What are your achievements? I hope that when you look back, you have at least something that you've been proud of. I mean, like Mike's also moved house, and getting yourself to UK Games Expo, and even if you're going somewhere as a punter, sometimes doing that organisation of going somewhere can be an achievement. And sometimes like working towards getting up at a reasonable hour. But whatever it is, like I am interested, and I hope that there's something that you can, whether you're going to share it or whether it's just within your own mind, you think, yeah, I did that. That was pretty good. Like I hope that there's at least a couple of things. Like I personally try to write five. Five seems like a good number to me. But yeah, I hope that you had your own achievements. I'm going to move on to my next list, which is lovely moments in gaming. This is not specific games. This is not the games which brought me the most joy. This is totally different. This is specific moments. And it's like, oh, this is really nice. And maybe you might have something yourself, like having a date around a game or having some surprise victory. My favourite moments, going to KCON. The whole convention was lovely. But I think for me, the thing that summed it up best, and I'm trying to avoid saying, oh yeah, it was seeing all the moderators play a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises, because that was also fantastic. The thing that summed it up for me was learning Small Islands with someone, where we sat down, we learned the game together, and that's it. It's just people who might have never met before, but you know each other on Facebook. And it's a tiny convention where there's like 30, 40 people and everyone's in different rooms. And it felt very safe. It felt fantastic. And KCON, highly recommended. Teaching Groot at Salisbury on a Sunday. I played it earlier that day, and then I desperately wanted to play again because of being the river folk didn't quite work when people aren't trading with you. And then some new people walking through the door saying, hey, I've heard there's some sort of gaming going on. Can we play a game? And I'm like, hey, what do you... This is this game. This is that game. And Root is a game. And then I go on this like 1 minute explanation. They're like, oh, that sounds quite interesting. So it's kind of like Risk. I say, yes, absolutely. It's kind of got that aggression and of Risk, but you don't get eliminated, so that it's got that nice bit about it. And then these two newcomers to gaming played Root so well, and it was just a fantastically joyous experience with 5 of us around the table and passing on the joy of a game that I loved that I didn't make was lovely. There are some self-centered things. Going to Dragon Meet, seeing Chris demoing. Christian Eden Allen Hacker Hearn, who works for me, and I made sure that they knew all my games as, I can't say as well as I do, but to a sufficiently good standard that I could rely on them, so that when I was going to the loo, when I was doing my talk in the morning, I wasn't concerned about anything. I saw Chris, and then Chris it was their first convention. They were a bit shy at the start, but then as the day went on, they became more and more comfortable. And like there were 2 other people, Rory and James, and they were also both fantastic, but Chris was sort of my linchpin. And so seeing them do so well and adapt into that role, that was fantastic. Being invited to a local arts market where it was games as art. So it was all about games. There was some food markets, there was and a bunch of people that they'd invited as artists. So they said, Bez, we think you're an artist. Please come here and show off your games. And that was amazing, that moment where it was like, they're saying that games are art. This is like validation, and it's like government funded, and I got a little bit of money just as an appearance fee. And then with that money, with some of it, I paid Layla to come over and help me. And so we had the 2 of us. There was no way that I could have done it on my own. But then it was just a fantastic day. And yes, seeing everyone obviously engage with my stuff is always fantastic. But that invitation itself was a joyful moment. My number 2 is going to UK Games Expo with Jason. Jason has been at all my so many conventions with me. I'm not going to say all of them, like so many I went to on my own, but Jason's been to Dragon Meets and UK Games Expo, and it's like a tradition, and it was like, we're finally going back to stuff. Jason's so good at organising, and it felt like we could take everything on. We had finally done all the work, we'd done all the preparation, and driving from London to Birmingham in the car, talking, discussing stuff, that was such a joyful moment. And my number one joyful moment, Royal Festival Hall, Friday, daytime playtesting, the first time that I went back, seeing Ellie Dix and David Brain. I can't remember if there was anyone else there, but if there was, then I do apologise. But Ellie Dix and David Brain are kind of the regulars. And as time's gone on, like, it's been a delight. In the last year, I got to see Rory, and I got to see Andrew Beardsley, and I got to meet Andrew Beards, and it's a delight. And I got to meet Perrin, and every person that comes, it's a delight. But it's not just about the games. It's also about the discussion. It's about the shared passion. It's about the friendships. It's about the relationships. And having a full day, 10 a.m. until 4:30, and we only start playtesting at 11. So that's 10:05 until, like, maybe people start arriving like 10:30 realistically, but that half hour is very specifically there to converse, and then we play for 90 minutes, and then we have a half hour to grab food, to go to the loo, and to chat. And that is such a joyful moment. So let me ask everyone else, like, can you think of a moment within your gaming life that you had? What was a lovely moment of gaming for you? I'm interested to know. PMP Community, going back to the achievements, says my big achievement last year was meeting me, Bez, at UK Games Expo, and it was my first ever visit, but will not be the last. Yeah, I can totally understand, like, going to a convention for the first time. That's, yeah, well done on you. It can be a bit anxiety-inducing. It can be a bit, ooh, what's going to happen here? I don't quite know. There's obviously lots of information online, but well done, and especially on everything you've achieved. So feel free to share your lovely moments, or feel free to share now your challenges. What are things that you perceived as challenges? This is where I want to, it's basically making excuses. It's saying, hey, this is why things were not as good from a personal point of view. Obviously, globally, there were, like, environmental issues. There was a pandemic still happening. There were, like, political upheaval. There was all sorts of things. But I'm talking very specifically for me, for you. What were some of the challenges? For me, one of the challenges was organizing lots of people for BBBB, whatever that means. Like, it used to be like Bezzy Beats and or Bezzy Bath Time Board Game Bladder, and then Bezzy Breakfast Board Game Bladder, and then Bezzy Beats and Briefer Bladder, and now it's Bezzy Beats and Board Game Bladder, and that's probably the way it's going to stay for a while. But for lots of the episodes, I feel like it is more fun when I have guests. And I'm more excited. I feel like other people are more excited to see all these guests on. I enjoy having guests. And for my 100th episodes, that's really challenging. So for episode 400 and episode 500, but thankfully, the way that I felt I overcame it was by using Doodle and just saying, hey, please fill out the time yourself, and I'll kind of leave that with you. And sort of getting people to do a bit themselves. Going forwards, what I'm doing is, frankly, if people don't send me their picture, if people don't send me their link or bio, well, I will write a bio, but it probably won't be as good as if they'd actually sent me the information that I'd asked for. And it'll be like one sentence. And if they don't send me links, I'm not going to put links in, but I'm not going to chase people for that. I will say, hey, are you definitely meeting, just to confirm? But if it doesn't happen, frankly, I'm assuming that I'm speaking to Robin David on Monday. I'm assuming that I'm speaking to Ben on Tuesday, who does social good in Uganda. But, and they have confirmed, but they've not sent me any of the stuff that I've asked for. And if it comes to the day, then, and it doesn't happen, then I will do some sort of filler episode and I'll be like, yeah, sorry, I thought it was going to happen. And I'll be disappointed. Someone who tunes in might be disappointed, but I'm not going to stress about it. I'm going to be like, yeah, it's kind of on them. Once they've said, yes, I'm definitely going to be there, it's on them to send me the information and help me do that. Now, my next challenge was COVID. I got COVID. I still feel some of the effects. I still feel like I have a bit less energy than I normally do. I still feel like I get tired more. I need a bit more sleep. And I got it, I want to say, on the 17th of December. And sorry about that. I got it on the 17th of December. It knocked me out completely for a few days. And the other big challenge was isolating. Isolating was definitely a challenge, being away from people, not being allowed to speak to anyone, and I think that in order to overcome this, basically, I thought I was going to play solitaire games or read, but I didn't have the energy. I just kind of watched a lot of TV shows and ate curry. Thankfully, there was a supermarket delivery that I could go to. Getting stuff to Dragon Meat physically, that was a challenge. I mean, you don't think about these little things when you go to conventions, but actually getting the stuff physically there was a challenge. Like getting all the different games, because now I've got quite a few games that I want to sell. I've got Yogi Guru, a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises, a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and watching out for turnips, Kitty Cataclysm, Wibble++, Wibble++ Deluxe, and Dice and Ink. That's like 8 games. That's a lot. And so I go there and I have to decide, okay, how many am I going to take of each thing? The number that I took, I brought back not that much, but it was so heavy, like the amount of stuff. Like for one person, I've got a big rucksack, but then having, 3 banners and having a big box. Thankfully, once I got out of the underground on the other side, Chris was at the underground. I asked them to stay at the underground to help me, but I think that in future, I might see if I can, think about, I don't know, maybe some sort of trolley, or maybe rather than having my rucksack and the banners and something I'm holding, maybe I would do the rucksack, the banners, and suitcase with wheels. Maybe that would be easier to move. But yeah, these are the kinds of logistical challenges that people don't really think about. And yeah, just getting it from the place where you're staying to the convention. Overcoming art anxiety, that is a challenge. Like even during the game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises, I was constantly having to remind myself, it's only going to be a $5. You don't need to worry about this too much. If you don't like bits of this, that's okay. Just do your best. People might like it anyway. Just do it quickly. And yeah, that's a major issue. Number 2 is rules writing, which is, frankly, this is something I didn't manage to overcome. There's so many games that were 2021 LDEC design submissions that I wanted to rewrite the things, but it's gone on a wee bit late, and that is because rules writing, it just does take energy, and you have to be aware of that. You have to put aside like a solid day or so, especially if you're writing for multiple games. It's not a quick process. It's a process that takes a lot of thought, a lot of consideration, and yeah, it has to be a good day. The biggest challenge for me over the year was moving. Just to reiterate, the first time we tried to move, the van got stolen. This is a challenge that is still moving into 2021. That Chris is having to face a legal battle because they're demanding £30,000, even though we paid extra money to get the extra insurance. They are, yeah, the whole thing is ridiculous. It was parked safely outside of my house. It was locked. And yeah, there is nothing more that we could have done. It definitely wasn't our fault. That was the first issue. And then the second issue, when a week or two later, I had a bunch of freelancers to come and help me move. And there was a window. They were meant to come like between 12:30 and 3:30. Around 3 o'clock, they texted to apologize. They eventually came around 4:30, 1 hour after this 3-hour window. They had someone else's stuff in the van. They said, "Oh, sorry, we're in between jobs. We're getting someone else's bed to here." And then they left when a lot of my stuff was still on the street outside of here being my new address. And that's not good. Like, they moved some of it upstairs, but a lot of it was out on the street. Thank goodness that Chris was here to help me finish off the rest of it. And thank goodness that a friendly neighbor came out to help them up. And then afterwards, that night, I'd done so much work, my legs were aching, I wanted a bath, and then I was looking for the box that says bath bob-ombs on it, because they're literally little bob-ombs, and I was like, yeah, now is the time when I want that treat, when I want to dissolve this little character from Mario. And that was really incredibly problematic. And so they still have one of my boxes, and excuse me for just 30 seconds. But yes, that was without a doubt the biggest challenge of 2021. And speaking of stolen vans and stuff, which I was just saying, that was the biggest challenge of 2021, the whole moving.
Yeah.
And for those wondering, Chris has just come in. Mike says, nice gaming, playing Sidereal Confluence for the first time, full player count, face-to-face over the summer. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. That's like a long mammoth game, and getting like all those people together and just sharing that moment together, I can understand that. PNP Community says, my first challenge this year is to get my first print and play up and running so people can play the game. It's all done, but just doing the rules now, which is taking the time. Yeah, I know all about the rules writing. Like I said, that was my number 2 challenge. And Jess says, are you still looking for the van? I mean, within that same day, I reported it stolen, I think about 1:30 a.m. And then the police got back around like 4:30 p.m. basically saying, sorry, we're giving up. You're not going to get it, which I was really disappointed by. Like, I thought that, there's enough cameras around that they would actually be able to decide where it was heading or something. I was really, but like, apparently not. But yeah, that's the end of that. Now, let's get to the joys, non-gaming stuff. So what were some of your personal joys for non-gaming? And of course, if you want to contribute at the end, what were your non-gaming joys that really brought you lots of mirth over 2021? My number 6 is tinned curries. Like, while I had COVID, I got a lot of tinned curries. I basically had an order from Tesco and one from Sainsbury's, and I typed in tinned curry and I got like all the things that came up. So I've got I think like still 4 left to eat, but I've got a big collection of about 20 different ones. They're all not completely different. Like, obviously, chicken jalfrezi from Tesco and chicken jalfrezi from Sainsbury's is quite similar, but for the record, Sainsbury's is better. But that brought me so much joy and delight. Talking to folk, I do enjoy these monologues, like when people are listening and then we have the back and forth with the written comments. But my favorite is in person, when people are kind of chatting and then you can give space for someone to just talk. And face-to-face conversations, that's something that we were able to get back to this year, I felt. Walking through the park in general, just walking through the park, whichever park it was. Like, I just really enjoy walking through the park and enjoy a bit of serenity. That's a lovely thing. Cooking. It's not something that I have the energy to do every day, like especially when I'm on my own. But friend came over on Sunday, and I made a mushroom stir fry, and it just getting those things and chopping that up, and then there's a satisfaction saying, I made this. This was what I did. And my number two joyful thing is being outside when the sun is around the horizon and there are bits of clear sky. Obviously inspired by this morning, but just in general, like when you can see the sun going down. Like in my old address, I would walk along the road and it was perfectly positioned to see the sunset. So I'd be walking back and like in the park, and like, oh, also here, like I try to time it so that I go outside when the sun is going down, and that's just a lovely thing. But also in the morning, like this morning at 8:30, the sun was still kind of on the horizon. But my number one thing that brought me joy, if I can, like, is playing tennis. And I'm talking about a specific game of tennis, which was with Chris, who's just facing me and is smiling. And a bunch of us, I want to say about 15 of us, basically hired this place. And I think that this is something that, if you've not done it yourselves, get like 4 or 5 or 20 of you, people that you consider somewhat close friends, get together and hire a place, enjoy the companionship over a long weekend. And then after you've just spent a lovely day together, we were all rubbish at tennis. But, Chris and I were literally just, how many times can we get it back and forth? I think we got to like 12 or 15, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And yeah, that was definitely my number one joys of not gaming. That's my list there. So yes, Jess is admonishing the police, report the police to the police. They don't have enough resources to look for the van. And Mike says the non-gaming joy is new kittens. That sounds fantastic. P&P community says my favorite joy last year was going from a small TV screen to 55-inch smart TV. Brilliant watching YouTube stuff on there. And also my robot is reminding me to stretch. Do you have any favorite moments from last year you'd like to share?
Can't remember what happened last year, apart from me getting COVID and then getting over COVID. That's probably a good thing, I guess.
Did that happen last year?
Yeah, technically.
Okay, so Chris says that for them, getting over COVID was their biggest joy. It feels quite sort of negative in a way, kind of saying that the absence of return to normality. Jess says that their favorite joy was probably being in love. Aww. And so, yes, the final list that I want to give, we've got a final list that I want to give is general lessons. Now, this is not me trying to give you advice. If I were trying to give someone advice, then I'd kind of ask, where are you on as a designer or as a person? I'd want to know more about them. And the advice that I'd give most people is not the advice that I'd give myself. But these are things that some of them I was kind of reminded of, some of them I knew before, but these were the 5 things that I was able to write. I tried to write at least 5 things for each of these lists. So firstly, I need to let go of more stuff and kind of delegate more stuff. For example, shipping. Obviously, it is incredibly so much easier having Chris do the stuff online and then print the stuff, and then it makes it so much easier. But also, as time goes on, for my next Kickstarter, it's likely that Vagard is going to do all the international shipping from Poland. That's currently happening already. And that's what I need to move towards. And I think that I learned about just the specifics of negotiating that and the details of the percentages. Vagard and I have some conversations about how we're going to share the money. Obviously, Vegard is being paid somewhat for doing that. Chris is being paid for when they work for me. And I need to make sure that it's at a point where I am still earning some money myself. Because, frankly, if it was zero return, I'd probably still sell the games if someone else was doing all the work. But it's not even as if I then have zero work to do. I'm still currently, at least for now, being somewhat involved. But yeah, when Vegard takes over, I'm not able to do all the doodles. If could you pass one of those envelopes with doodles on them, Chris?
Yeah.
No, the top. The ones underneath. Thank you. So, like, all of these envelopes, they've got like a unique little doodle on that side, and then on the other side it says enjoy, and there's bits that that are replicatable, like having a wee business card in there. That's something that can be done, but having all these doodles, no, that can't be done. I am growing an audience. This is something that I expected, that I was aware of, but seeing how much bigger a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises went, yes, sure. Part of that is because it was £1 to get a print and play version, and people all over the world were excited by that. Part of it's because it was like £8 for a physical copy. And if you're in the UK, that was just for the UK, by the way. And people within the UK were like, hey, I'm excited by this. Part of it was that it's a really novel game. I don't know of any other game. I mean, the closest that I can think of is Morde Morosa, where you're dropping a little cube and then you're listening to where the cube goes. But there's not that many games that are about listening or making noises. I mean, yeah, it feels like it's pushing into new territory. And so, definitely, there were reasons why it did well, but I also believe that it did well because I've been doing this for 7.5 years at this point. I think that there were quite a few people who said, hey, I live in the USA, I'm willing to pay you like $20, $30, whatever it takes to get it shipped over. And all of those people were names that I recognized from previous campaigns, and I recognized people who presumably have gotten to know me through other games, through Yogi or through the L deck or through Kitty Cat, or just they've gotten to know along the way. Hey, Bez makes games that are actually pretty good. And so there is a bit of trust that I've developed there. And so, yes, seeing that, like I was expecting that, but seeing it actually happen was amazing. Lesson number 3. Many people will pay quite a bit to avoid doing print and play. I was surprised, like, I shouldn't be so surprised because I'm kind of a lazy person myself, and I would really I couldn't do one copy of a thing, although now I do actually know if someone sends me print and play files, I'd probably be like, okay, I'll ask Rob to do something, and that would be cheaper than getting it sent over from China or whatever, or from USA. If someone was in USA doing it, let's imagine it was the opposite. But multiple people got my thing sent over to them in Canada or New Zealand or the USA, and some of them paid me quite a bit extra to ship it. Some of them got their friends to bring it over for them, which is just amazing to see. Some of them, they just didn't want to print and play themselves. Some of them actually bought one of the custom coloring ins. But what I realize, again, it's a reminder because the same thing happened for Kitty Cataclysm, where I made a little expansion, and that expansion I think I sold for £2.50, and it was like literally 8 cards. And I said, these cards you can get for free. They're available to everyone on Board Game Geek. And then people are still paying me the £2.50 because they just want it to be on nice cardstock. And yeah, the lesson, my second most surprising lesson, and this is where I get into things that I definitely were new to me is 17 hours is too much to stream. I say that as someone who streamed 25 hours twice. But the first time, it was in June. I was high on life. I was high on energy. It was like, I think I was just in like the peak mental energy condition. Whereas like December, mid-December, I think I was not in a good place, frankly, because there was so much stress from the moving. That was not good. And also, I do get a bit low in winter, I'm going to admit. And so by 3 a.m., which is why I put 17 hours, I just noticed that I was falling asleep. And so I think that next time I am going to go for like 11 hours. That seems a bit more reasonable. And also then it will stay on YouTube and I don't need to split it up because YouTube can't do videos longer than 12 hours. And so that's my thing. Like, I'm not saying I would never do a 24-hour stream again. Like, if it was for a charity thing, then maybe I would. But I think that in future, I am going to, when I get to episode 600, expect like maybe 8 hours or 10 hours. I will do a long celebration. I want to keep that tradition. I want to be able to bring in Americans that I don't normally get to speak to. I want to do that kind of thing. But I'm not going to do one full day as a default. I'm going to be like, okay, I'll stream a good amount and then I'll just carry on with the rest of, the normal stuff. Maybe like I'll just kind of stream episode 599, then 600 and 601 on consecutively, rather than feeling I'm doing such a big mammification and then I need to stop. And yeah, it felt like I've done it, but it's just too tiring. It's just too much. And my biggest lesson to me is do stuff quickly, but all the way to publication. I already knew about when I've got a game idea, I want to start moving it around. If I've got a game idea, I want to playtest it in my head. I want to get it on cards. I want to, if playtest it that same week, or if I can, maybe start a spreadsheet. If I've got to write up 54 cards to make the thing work, then, but just do it. Just try it as best as I can. Obviously, playtest quickly is something that everyone gets told. But then, the busy bargain bags are not just about offering cheap value for everyone buying it. It's also about reducing stress and also about allowing myself to experiment. So with a game about drawing creatures, complementing the drawings and complementing the complements, again, that's a bit scary for me. I don't know how people are going to respond to that because that doesn't feel like any other game on the market. But then people liked making noises, so maybe they will like this. But will I be? What sorts of text will I do? Well, in the end, I need to. Once I've sorted out this game about counting your veg, then the next one, just the point is get it done quickly. But then whatever that art is, make 50 copies. Actually push it through to publication, and other people do similar things, doing a small personal print run. But that is my biggest lesson. Pushing it through all the way to, if not mass production, at least producing quite a few copies. So yes, that is my list of lessons, and that's the end of my lists. So if you've got any questions about 2021, if you want to talk about your own lessons. And so quickly, hello Timmy, it is lovely to see you. And yeah, I totally feel you on hating winter. That makes a lot of sense. Mike says, I also upgraded my TV from Sony 4K, was great comfort over lockdown. Yeah, I can understand when you're locked down and then you just want a big screen. Jess says, I have another X-rated joy and even better, finding outdoor sports again, my greater love. That sounds fantastic. Yeah, getting yourself out and working on your body. And that's one of my sort of lessons that towards the end of last year, I did realize, hey, I do need to take care of my body. I am growing older. I do need to make sure that I stay relatively fit, that I do get out every day, that I do a quick walk, not just round the block, but my current I'll get into this on Saturday and Sunday, but one of my resolutions is to try and walk around the block, literally just that, before I look at any technology. And it's a simple enough objective that it feels achievable. So I go down the stairs, and it's quite a few stairs, and then I walk around the block, and then I come up, and it was chilly today, but then I saw the sun, and I was, oh, that's nice. And being outside, but then in the afternoon, going outside for like, an hour, half an hour, whatever, and having a proper thing. Just spent 58 quid on cycling shorts. That's pretty expensive. Well, I hope that they serve you well. And Jess says, you should move to Thailand. It's a cold winter. And I just had to buy shorts because my legs were way too hot in very thin running tights. Yeah, just throwing the heat into our face. And this sarcasm, I'm not down with that, Jess. Jess. Anyway, if anyone else has any questionably quick questions, then or any questions about 2021, then feel free to ask. Otherwise, that's the end. And thank you for being here. I will start wrapping up by saying, firstly, over to you. What are you up to? You can share, but only if you want to. Where is that thing? There we go. So yes, what are you up to? What are you up to today? Personally, my main objectives today are to get stuff posted. That would be good, because I told everyone that it will be like late January, so we're doing it earlier than we said, but it will be nice to get that out of the way so people aren't concerned about it. I also want to work with Chris to get the LDEC Twitter sort of set up. The new game of the month is Micro Muckle, and that should be coming tomorrow, I believe. We're all set for it. Chris has showed some nice pictures. Going to do a wee bit of art, and also this evening I am going to go and visit my lovely friends Chris and McCall, and we then, tomorrow, just to let you know, is going to be a very short stream. It's going to be literally about 5 minutes. I will say hello, I'll say how things are, I'll be open to any actually quick questions. Not questionably quick questions. If they're questionably quick, then I might say please leave them for like Saturday or Sunday. But if they're actually quick, I will answer them. Or you could just ask now. But basically, it'll just be, hey, I'm Bez. Here I am, and I'm about to playtest, and I'll show you the view from outside Royal Festival Hall, so you can see the river. If that sounds like fun, then, and you want to see a bit of outside London, then tune in tomorrow. But yes, whether you're doing something fun and frivolous or super serious, or something that you want to do or something that you need to do, feel free to share. I promise I care. Jess Timmy says it's going down to -20 here next week. So that's Nova Scotia, a formidable country. Territory of Canada, whatever they call those big areas in Canada. But yes, over here, I think it was -4 when I woke up, and I was like, oof. Jess says it is a really cold winter. Never known Thailand so cold, and Jess is still wearing shorts, so that gives you an idea of the heat disparity. Timmy got another publisher email. That's awesome. Jess misses the snow and ice. Well, yeah, I don't. Let's swap places or something, or you could swap with Timmy for a few months. I don't know. P&P Community says, thanks for the show. Have a lovely day, everyone, and keep gaming. Lots of love to you too. Mike is sorting their music collection out, reorganizing Lego, trying to get some new game designs finished. Awesome. That sounds fantastic. And Timmy says, if I never saw snow again for the rest of my life, it wouldn't be long enough. Wow, those are strong words. 30 centimeters more snow tomorrow. Oh, that's a lot. Don't you agree, Chris? 30 centimeters more snow tomorrow.
That's quite a bit.
Anyway, so that's what everyone's up to. And I am going to recap and wrap up very quickly. So just to go once more over everything that I mentioned. My Achievements. UK Games Expo, doing a Kickstarter for a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after some makes noises. So much streaming, drawing the turnips, and having moved. My lovely moments from gaming were going to KCON, like the whole thing, but learning games with other people, teaching groups. I had to pick a specific thing. Dragon Meet, seeing Chris demoing, like going into that role, being invited to the local arts market, UK Games Expo, and the first time back at Royal Festival Hall. Main challenges were organising lots of people for the show, getting COVID, getting stuff to Dragon Meet, overcoming arts anxiety, rules writing, and moving. My non-gaming joys were tinned curries, real life interaction and conversations, walking through the park, cooking, being outside when you can sort of see basically a bit of nice lights on the horizon, playing tennis with friends after we'd developed that familiarity and relationship together. My main lessons. I need to let go of more stuff. I can't do everything exactly as I would like. I need to be willing to make concessions. I am growing an audience. I need to keep making good stuff, but it is going to keep getting easier. Many people don't like print and play. Some people do, and those people might evangelize your things, which is great. So many people I've seen post pictures of how they made a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises. And actually, one thing I want to tell everybody, including Chris right now, is that someone did a print and play of a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises, but then their printer didn't quite work, so they only got half of each creature, so they kind of drew the rest of it like it was an exquisite corpse. 17 hours is too much to stream, and also do stuff quickly all the way to publication. So those are the lessons that I will take with me as I go forward into 2022. Dutch Yoda says, what Dutch Yoda that day, and hello, lovely to have you drop in. They are playing Origins, first builders, and then they're going to work on some game designs. It sounds like everyone's being quite productive, and all the best to those of you working on games. I hope that you enjoy the process. I hope that are fun. I hope that you enjoy life in general. If you want to check me out, obviously I am Stuff by Bez everywhere. You can check me out on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, all the places. And if you want to see what I'm about to stream, like tomorrow or the subsequent days, then go to stuffbybez.com/streams. If you would like to join me on video for a stream, like, Mike Nod, if you're watching, or like basically anyone who's watching, like if you want to come on and then be part of it and can chat about something that you've learned, some aspect. Hopefully it'll be somewhat board game related, because even though I do go off on tangents, I like to keep it focused somewhat on board games. Then feel free to send me a message on Twitter or Facebook or email, which is stuffbybez@gmail.com. But basically, if there isn't something that's written down, I will still be streaming, but it just means that I've not decided what it is yet. Share, spread the word. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to quickly check on Twitter and make a raid. Join the raid, and please help us make a splash. For now, assuming there's no more questions, there is only one thing left for me to say. But first, let's check who we are going to raid for people watching live. Who is doing stuff? Can you pause for a moment, please? Sorry, I said just as you put it in. So let's check L Infinity, and we'll go over and check them out, and they're making lovely music. So please copy paste message, give a hello, and for now, the only thing left to do is to say bye bye, bye bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye bye, Bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye bye. Bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye. Bye bye. And now it's time to go through. Bye bye. Bye bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye bye. Bye bye. This is the end of the show. Bye bye. Bye bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, everyone. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely. Until I next see you, have a lovely week, a good start to the year, and yeah, all the best. Bye bye.